Ayan. Hi guys. Good day everyone. My name is Jonathan David de la Cruz and I will be your teacher for Science, Technology, and Society. So today we are going to discuss chapter 2, lesson number 8. Okay, we are still under the intellectual and scientific revolution. So we already discussed about the Copernican intellectual revolution, how it changed the way how we view the universe. Second is the Darwinian intellectual revolution, how we change the view, how it changed the way how we view the life or the source or the creation of life. And now we're going to enter lesson number 8. Lesson number 8 is called Freudian Intellectual Revolution. To do or not to do. Ang human behavior noong unang panahon ay hindi may paliwanag. Hanggang ngayon naman, ang human behavior is like a puzzle na hindi kayang ma-decipher o maintindihan ng tao because different races, different people have different behaviors, no? But there was no reference or no attempt of studies about this. Walang nagtangkang aralin ang human behavior. Kasi may mga nagtangkang aralin ang kalawakan, 'di ba? May mga nagtangkang aralin ang evolution. Pero walang nagtangkang aralin ang human behavior. So there are a lot of psychologists, no? But the first person who attempted to understand the human behavior was Sigmund Freud in the late 19th century. He ventured on the puzzles of human behavior. Well, Sigmund Freud is Freud yung spelling Freud, but we read it as Sigmund Freud. He is an Austrian neurologist and founder of psychoanalysis. So, Sigmund Freud introduced the concept of personality. No? Ang personality, it is a distinctive and enduring characteristic patterns of thinking, feeling, and behavior of an individual. Psychologists study personality in attempt understanding differences in specific characteristics and look at how all their various parts of each person mesh together as a whole. So the personality of a person differs from one personality. Nagbabago-bago yung personality ng tao. Depende different people have different personalities. There is no single or specific personality that we have, but we have common traits. Yun yung inintroduce sa atin ni Sigmund Freud. Now, these common traits are suggested to be influenced by his theory on psychoanalysis. So, psychoanalysis is also referred as psychoanalytic theory. He believes that the unconscious mind plays a vital role in the human personality and that our personality is shaped by the uh, enduring conflict between our impulse to do whatever we feel like or our restraint to control ourselves or urges. So, um, naniniwala siya na kasi tayo mga tao, meron tayong tinatawag na conscious and unconscious mind. No? Pag sinabi nating conscious mind, ibig sabihin alam natin yung ginagawa natin. Pag sinabi namang unconscious, these are things that you are unaware of na nangyayari. Halimbawa, um, kapag nasa environment ka, you consciously and unconsciously adapt to it. No? Example, nasa foreign environment ka, hindi mo namamalayan na nakaka-adapt ka na pala. Ganon. No? So it is driven mostly by, according to Sigmund Freud, no, every decisions that we do are driven by sexual aggressive urges and social control. This is called the pleasure principle. So pag sinabi nating psychoanalysis, ang unang phrase na maaalala natin dyan, psychoanalytic theory, ang unang principle na maaalala natin should be pleasure principle. Ibig sabihin, ang bawat decision daw natin sa all stages of life are driven by sexual aggressiveness or called the libido. Okay. Before we jump into that, let's first discuss the three fundamental structures of the mind. Ang pag-iisip daw ng tao ay nahahati sa tatlo, no? Kung makikita niyo dito sa image, no? This is an iceberg. 'Di ba nga sabi nila, if you meet a person, you only meet the tip of the iceberg. You know his name, but you do not know his story. Ayun yung gustong iparating sa atin ng figure na iyan. But then again, sometimes, even us, kahit tayo, hindi natin kilala ang ating mga sarili. We cannot determine, no, we are not aware of what we really are. Okay? Because of the unconscious mind. Yung tip of the iceberg, that's our conscious mind. Yun yung aware ka, alam mo. Pero yung unconscious mind, this is under the water. Ito yung mga bagay na hindi mo napapansin. Minsan kasi hindi natin kilala ang sarili natin. Minsan mas kilala pa tayo ng iba nating kakilala, kaibigan, or kamag-anak, no? But even them, they do not know. Okay, minsan may mga napapanaginipan tayo, may mga iniisip tayo na hindi naman talaga natin normal na iniisip, no? May pag-uusapan natin 'yan. Oh, let's start with id. Okay? These are the three structures of the mind. Id. Pag sinabi nating id, it is the most aggressive of the three structures. Is concerned with instant gratification of basic physical and needs and urges. The unconscious mind, the structure of the mind says, I want to do that now. So, if you are driven by sexual drive, no, sa id, the id part is found at the unconscious mind. Okay? This is highly driven by sexual drives, yung sobrang aggressive mo. And itong id na to, usually tinatago lang natin to sa sarili natin. Okay? Ito yung situation wherein we keep it to ourselves. Hindi mo sinasabi sa nanay mo, sa tatay mo, sa kapatid mo, pero ito yung mga kaisipan na tinatago lang natin sa sarili natin. It's id. Na kahit tayo, minsan, hindi natin alam na meron pala tayo. Halimbawa, you unconsciously, hindi mo alam na nanaginip ka ng mga bagay-bagay na hindi naman talaga dapat pinapaniginipan normally, no? It's called id. It's your subconscious desire. Hindi mo alam na gusto mo, pero gusto mo pala talaga. That's the id part of the brain, of the mind. Next one is the superego. The superego is the most ruled, governed structure of the mind, concerned with social rules and morals. It is often called the conscience or the moral compass. The structure of the mind that says it's not right to do that. Okay. So sa id, no, you want to do it aggressively. But when you have a super ego, kung makikita natin dito sa iceberg natin, si super ego ay meron ding part ng conscious and meron ding unconscious mind. Because pag sinabi natin super ego, you are driven by rules and conventions of the society. Pag sinabi na ganito ang gagawin, ganito talaga yung gagawin mo kasi yun yung sinabi ng rules. Okay? So somehow the super ego tries to balance the id. Kasi si id gusto niyang gawin to, gusto niyang gawin yan. But super ego will help you control it, will help you manage it. And then, siya yung magsasabi, di ba si id would say, I want to do that now. Gusto ko yan gawin ngayon. Pero sasabihin ni super ego, hindi tama yung gagawin mo. Okay? Now, let's go to ego. Ego is the rational and pragmatic part of the personality as it pacifies both id and superego. The structure of the mind says, maybe we can compromise. Okay. So, the ego is the most conscious mind. Ito yung most revealed part ng ating pagkatao. Kasi dito, alam mo kung ano yung mga tamang ginagawa mo. Alam mo din yung mga maling ginagawa mo. Because that is id. Diba? That is ego. So ego balances superego and id. Sabi ng iba, no, it is represented as the superego is your angel and id is your devil, and then your ego is yourself. Ikaw ang magde-decide ngayon. Okay? But deep in our minds, no, deep our mind is very structured. Hanggang ngayon sinusubukan pa ring aralin ng mga tao kung ano nga ba ang meron sa brain ng tao. Kung ano nga bang meron sa utak o sa mga isip natin. Because again, different people have different personality. And these personalities only reveal the conscious mind. Kasi nag-iingat ka sa mga sasabihin mo, nag-iingat ka sa mga gagawin mo because you are conscious about it. But what about your unconscious mind or subconscious mind? Okay? We do not know. There are people na nagpapakita na mabuti sila, mabait sila, but deep inside, there are a lot of things happening in their mind. May mga tao naman na akala mo ang sama-sama ng ugali nila, ang sama-sama ng nire-reveal na attitude nila, but at the end of the day, there's still goodness in them. Because there's always an id and superego, and ego, no? And id and superego majorly, battling inside us na nagtatalo kung ano nga bang gagawin mo. Kaya ang ego ang nasa gitna. Because ego is the rational one. Halimbawa, issues about lying. Okay, we'll be talking about that later. Issues about lying. Pag nagsisinungaling ka, um, may mga panahon na kailangan mong hindi sabihin ang katotohanan for the goodness. Okay? Diba? May mga ganong sitwasyon. So, ikaw ang magde-decide nun. Si ego ang magde-decide nun. And we all know that lying is bad. It's id. No? And telling the truth is good. But is it good to tell the truth? No, there are times that hindi natin kailangan sabihin ng buo. So, yun yung sinubukang aralin ni Sigmund Freud. But more than that, no, he introduced these three fundamentals of the mind, no, where he stated that our defense mechanism is tied up with with our personality, whether it be regression, repression, reaction formation, projection, rationalization, displacement, or denial. Usually, when we are encountered or we are engaged in an environment, kanya iba-iba tayo ng defense mechanism. Yung iba dyan, isusuppress nila yung feelings nila. Yung iba dyan, ipapakita talaga nila yung feelings nila. And sometimes yung iba sa atin magde-deny, yung iba sa atin magpo-projection. When you say projection, you try to show the people that you're okay but you're really not okay. All these are all driven by psychoanalysis paired with our personalities. So, Sigmund Freud introduced the psychoanalysis. Now, he also introduced psychosexual theory. The psychosexual theory, dito pinapakita na yung personality development natin ay nakafocus sa iba't ibang location ng sensual pleasure, ng libido natin, no? From childhood stages of development during which, according to Sigmund Freud, the id's pleasure-seeking energies focus on distinct erogenous zones. So, iba-iba ang zones ng ating pleasure. Diba? Iba-iba tayo ng zones of our pleasure in different stages of life, okay? Which are still driven by psychoanalysis. Ito yon. At laging tatandaan, when you say psychoanalysis, tatandaan mo pleasure principle. Okay? Psychosexual theory, tandaan mo lang din yung pleasure principle paired with acronym na ginawa ko to, binuo ko sarili ko, but it's up to you on what you do. Tandaan lang yung OA palagi. OA palagi. No? OA palagi. Ano yan? The OA palagi is stages of psychosexual theory. Okay. Let's start with oral stage. The oral stage starts with birth to 18 months. Pag pinanganak yung bata hanggang 18 months old siya, the center of pleasure is in mouth. Example are sucking, biting, and chewing. Ang pleasure principle ng bata na pinanganak hanggang age 18 ay nasa mouth niya. Bakit? tamsak, doon nagkakaroon ng development ng um, what do you call this? Kakain siya, magdedede siya, magbabite siya, kukuha siya ng mga gamit-gamit, tapos ibabite niya kasi nagtitithing na siya, nagkakaroon na siya ng ngipin. No? That's oral stage. So ang libido, no, o ang pleasure ng tao at that stage is located at the mouth kasi kumakain siya. So ang proper training diyan dapat sabihin sa kanila kung ano yung food, provide them ano kasi diyan din yung development ng teeth nila. Ngayon, kapag nagkaroon ng fixation, ang ibig sabihin ng fixation ay hindi na punan yung kanyang oral stage or hindi na suffice yung kanyang oral stage. Ang mangyayari, ang bata magkakaroon ng characteristics na thumbsucking. Isa 'yon. Okay? If the child always have thumbsuck, ibig sabihin hindi na punan yung kanyang oral stage. Okay? Now let's go to anal stage or anal stage. Anal stage is from 18 months to 36 months old. So the center of pleasure is anus and bladder. Dito na yung natatai yung bata. Dito na yung ah ah, tumatay yung bata, umiihi na yung bata. No? At this point, kasi aminin natin sa hindi. Again, let's go back to oral principle. Bakit siya oral stage? Bakit nasa mouth ang pleasure? No? Kasi masarap naman kasi talaga kumain. Isa sa mga possible possible results kapag nagkaroon ng fixation sa oral stage, thumb sucking or obesity kasi pagtanda niya, kain pa rin siya ng kain. Sa anal stage naman, anal stage, aminin natin sa hindi, masarap naman kasi talaga mag-release sa Mother Nature. No? So, ang pleasure ay nasa anus or nasa bladder. So at this stage, dapat ang bata pinapractice na natin sa toilet training. Kasi pag hindi natuto ang bata sa toilet training, ang mangyayari, it will eventually magkakaroon siya ng stages na maiihi siya sa pantalon niya, o kaya matatai siya. No? So we should practice that. Okay. So now let's go to phallic stage. OA, oral stage. A, anal stage. Third stage is phallic stage. Phallic stage. The center of principle is child's genitals. Example are incestuous sexual feelings. This is mostly development of Oedipus complex or Electra complex. Na ngayon, ang bata at 3 to 6 years old, no, nagkakaroon na yan ng pre-genital pre-genital pleasures pero hindi sila yung nagiging lustrous about it. Kaya hindi sila revealing about it. Pero dito yung mapapansin ang dalawang complex. Okay, surface lang ang papakita ko sa inyo ha. Oedipus complex and Electra complex. Pag sinabi nating Oedipus complex, si baby boy, gustong-gusto niya si mommy. Pag sinabi nating Electra complex, gustong-gusto ni baby girl si daddy. Ibig sabihin, they're already developing their certain attraction to the opposite sexes. Okay? Okay po ba? So I hope you guys understand. No? But I am not saying that it is an incest relationship. I'm saying that it is called, legally called in psychology as complexes. Okay? It's normal na maging close si mommy, ay si baby boy. Mas close si baby boy kay mommy at mas close si baby girl kay daddy. It's normal. Okay? Um, and it's actually a good thing, no? Kasi they are developing closer relationship with family members. Okay? Ngayon, kapag nagkaroon ng fixation dito, anong mangyayari? Pag nagkaroon ng fixation dito sa stage na to, usually dito nagkakaroon ng daddy's girl, mama's boy, but there's entirely, ano ba? There is no it's not completely wrong na maging mama's boy or daddy's girl. Ang kaso kasi pag nagkaroon na ng family yung bata, ay pagkaroon na ng family yung anak, baka mamaya dependent pa rin siya kay mommy o kaya dependent pa rin siya kay daddy. So iniiwasan natin yung fixation sa phallic stage, okay? But then again, it's again a pre-genital stage. Okay. Now let's go to la. OA, fa, phallic, la. La is latent stage, the fourth stage. 6 to puberty, say 12 years old or 11 years old. Dito, there is no center of pleasure. Okay? Because it is repressed. However, it also shows dormant sexual feelings. Okay. Oral stage, mouth. Anal stage, sa anal. Phallic stage, pre-genital. Latent stage, wala. Or dormant. Anong ibig sabihin nito? Sa latent stage kasi, ang bata, 6 to 11 or 12 years old, wala yang pleasure. Kasi ang pleasure niyan transferred sa mga friends. Kaya gusto-gusto nila makipaglaro. Mama, makikipaglaro ako. Mama, makikipaglaro ako ganito. Daddy, makikipaglaro ako ng ganito. Because their pleasure is with the society. Kaya nga 'di ba may mga tinatawag tayo na it takes a village to raise a child kasi importante po ang social skills ng bata. And definitely sa latent stage 6 to 11 years old, mahalaga na expose ang bata sa society or sa community para magkaroon ito ng engagement. Kasi nandun yung kanyang pleasure, yung gustong-gusto niya nakikipaglaro. Diyan na nagkakipagbaril-barilan, bahay-bahayan, Barbie-Barbie, no? Iba't ibang mga laro, luto-lutuan, teacher-teacheran. Dito lumalabas yung creativity ng bata. Kaya repressed yung kanilang pleasure kasi sobrang busy nila. Madami silang ginagawa. Okay? So the pleasure is not, there's no center or particular pleasure. Nag-iiba-iba. Dito na nagkakaroon ng interest. Example, naging pleasure na ng bata maglaro ng chess, maglaro ng video games, magbasa, okay? Mag-compute, mahalin ang mathematics, mahalin ang science. Kaya at this stage, at 6 to 11 years old, ito yung panahon kung saan maganda likutin ang kaisipan ng mga bata to make them interested in certain fields like turuan niyo sila magbasa, magsulat, no? They will be interested in such stuffs. Okay? Bibili ka ng mga puzzle, bubuuin nila, no? O kaya naman building, gagawa ng mga puzzle na gagawa ng building, bibili ng mga what do you call this? Uh, yung mga Jenga na puzzle, something like that. Games, okay? So that's the latent stage. Now, let's go to the last stage, the ge. O, oral stage. A, anal stage. Fa, phallic stage. La, latent stage. And the last one is genital stage. So genital stage from puberty, say 12, 13, something like that. 12, 13. Iba-iba kasi. I mean, may certain age pero we have different developments. Iba-iba ng development ang bata. May mga ibang bata na late nagbo-bloom, okay? So from puberty onwards, ang center of hindi ko pala nasabi. Sa latent stage, pag nagkaroon ng fixation dyan, ibig sabihin pala ng fixation, pag nagkaroon siya ng, nagustuhan niya na yung stage na yun, ayaw niya nang umalis, pag nagkaroon ng stage na yan, nagiging gala yung bata. Alis na lang ng alis kahit binata na, kahit nag-ano na siya, nagkatrabaho na, ang hilig-hilig niya pa rin lumabas kasama si mga friends, no? Kasi nagkakaroon na ng negative fixation. Pero pag positive naman, nagkakaroon na siya ng certain interest like playing basketball o kaya playing video games, pag-aaral, no? Those are some positive traits na magandang i-develop sa latent stage. Now, let's go back to genital stage. So, genital stage, the pleasure is located at the genitals. So, both girls and boys, no, their pleasure is already located at the genitals. Ibig sabihin, their sexual maturity, ibig sabihin, the drive or the pleasure is already located at their sexual maturity and adult interest. So, nagkakaroon na sila ng girlfriend, nagkakaroon na ng boyfriend, eventually magkakaroon ng asawa, and so on and so forth. So, these are the 5 stages of psychosexual theory na pinakilala sa atin ni Sigmund Freud. After this, sinundan siya ng madaming scientists, what we call this, psychologists, no? Nagkaroon ng psychosocial development theory, o kaya naman nagkaroon ng iba't ibang developmental theory, psychosocial, psychosexual, psychosocial is, okay? Sumunod sila, sunod-sunod na sina Eric Erikson and so on. Okay, so according to Sigmund Freud, if these stages faces an unsettled issue, it will undergo fixation. So kapag hindi na settle yung issue per level sa oral stage, anal stage, phallic stage, latent stage, genital stage, kapag hindi ito na settle or hindi na punan, iyon nagkakaroon ng fixation o nagkaroon naman ng lapses na gustuhan talaga nila yung stage na yon, nagkakaroon ng fixation. It is a lingering focus of pleasure-seeking energies at an earlier psychosexual stage in which conflicts were unresolved. Okay? So Sigmund Freud's psychoanalytic and psychosexual theory has indeed revolutionized psychology. He was then followed by Neo-Freudians. Ibig sabihin, these are a group of psychiatrists and psychologists in the mid-20th century who were influenced by Sigmund Freud but extended his theories in different aspects. So madaming sumunod na psychologists kay Sigmund Freud but no, some of them stick to his principles like psychoanalysis and psychosexual, and some of them rejected his theory or nirebat yung kanyang theory na hindi naman lahat ay driven by pleasure. Hindi lahat ay driven by libido. No? Some are driven by interest. So we have here Karen Horney. Yeah, Karen Horney. Si Karen Horney ay isa sa mga female psychologists na nirebat si Sigmund Freud. No? Tingnan natin, we have here a Venn diagram. Punta tayo sa, they both believe, Sigmund Freud and Karen Horney believe in id, ego, and superego. They also believe na sa importance ng unconscious mind. Shaping the personality of a child, naniniwala din sila doon. And the dynamics of anxiety and defense mechanism. They both believe in this. But they differ in a lot of things. Some of them are, si Sigmund Freud, naniniwala siya na ang childhood sexual experience shapes the personality. Naniniwala siya na ang experience ng bata are the development of a personality of a human being is driven by sexual drive or the pleasure. Pero naniniwala naman si Karen Horney that the childhood transition is crucial for personality development. Na hindi lang pleasure ang basis ng human personality development. Second, naniniwala sa Sigmund Freud na place more emphasis on unconscious mind and desire its influences on personality. While Karen Horney believes that said childhood anxiety caused by dependence child's sense of helplessness and triggers our desire for love and security. So, kay Sigmund Freud, naniniwala siya na nagkakaroon ng problem sa fixation or nagkakaroon ng problem sa stages ng life of a person or life of a child kapag hindi na fulfill yung pleasure. Pero si Karen Horney naman, naniniwala siya na ang paglaki ng bata ay nakadepende sa suporta na nararamdaman nito, sa nararanasan nito, sa pagmamahal na nararanasan nito, at sa security na nararamdaman nito. And lastly, no, meron kasi tinatawag na sa Oedipus complex, Oedipus complex. 'Di ba, kapag Oedipus complex, si baby girl, si baby boy, gusto si mommy palagi kasama. Si, um, what do you call this? Electra complex, si baby girl gusto lagi si daddy. Don't get me wrong, kapag kasama lagi si daddy, hindi ibig sabihin nun Electra complex. Kapag kasama palagi si mommy, Oedipus complex. Hindi gano'n 'yon. Merong tests na ginagawa for that. Okay? We do not label them as that already. Hindi natin i-label yung mga anak o yung mga bata in such ways. Okay? Pero nagkakaroon ng complexes about it. Okay, mako-confirm lang yun through test. So isa sa mga ano ng electroconflex is that meron daw tinatawag ang mga babae na nag-undergo ng electra complex ng penis envy, wherein um, ah, gusto ng mga babae na maging lalaki kasi nga si baby boy pwedeng lumabas na lumabas, si baby girl hindi pwedeng lumabas. Mga ganon sitwasyon. And they had weaker super ego. Ibig sabihin ng female has weaker super ego, mas emotional daw yung babae, mas di daw nakokontrol ng babae yung kanyang emotions, no? While si Karen Horney, hindi siya naniniwala na mahina ang super ego ng babae at hindi din siya naniniwala na may penis envy. Okay? So these are just some of the arguments in psychology. Pero ito ay naging revolutionary. Bakit nga ba ito naging intellectual revolution? Kasi walang nagtatangkang aralin ito dati. At si Sigmund Freud, nagtangkang aralin ito, pinakilala niya, inintroduce niya sa mga tao, sa public, and then nagkaroon na ng public discourse about human behavior. Hindi ito pinag-uusapan dati. Okay? Kaya siya naging revolutionary because it became an open platform for people to talk about it. Ayan. So, non-Freudian psychologists ang tawag sa kanila, focus on non-sexual motivations of the conscious mind. Some of them are Karen Horney. Si Karen Horney, siya yung, ito, no? A German psychologist and psychoanalyst, founder of feminist psychology, and who refuted the theory of Sigmund Freud, and she proposed the principle of self-help analysis. So may sarili din siyang teorya na na-develop. No? So, Neo-Freudian, yung mga psychologists na sumunod kay Sigmund Freud and sinuportahan siya. Non-Freudian psychologists, yung mga psychologists na sumunod na hindi sumasang-ayon sa psychosexual theory. Pero naniniwala sila minsan, some of them believes in the psychoanalysis. Okay. Another one is Carl Gustav Jung, Carl Jung. Carl Jung basa dyan, pero ang basa natin dyan is Carl Gustav Jung, Carl Jung. So Carl Jung naman is a Swiss psychiatrist and psychoanalyst who founded the analytical psychology, who once was a friend of Sigmund Freud, but because of their theoretical differences, they separated. He believed that the sexual drive do not solely dictate one's behavior and it is part of an equation. So si Carl Jung is a colleague o friend ni Sigmund Freud. Pero dahil hindi sila nagkaroon ng pagkakaunawaan pagdating sa prinsipyo, they separated their ways. Don't get me wrong, Carl Jung believes that the development of a person is still influenced by sexual drive. Pero hindi lang yun. Kasi si Sigmund Freud, sabi niya, ang development ng bata ay dependent lang sa sexual drive, sa pleasure na itong bata, sa pleasure ng tao. Pero si Carl Jung, sabi niya, hindi lang naman sa pleasure principle or sa sexual drive, nakadepende ang paglaki ng isang tao, ang pagtanda ng isang tao. Pero, part pa rin siya. So, ang pinakamalaking contribution ni Carl Jung ang tinatawag na collective unconsciousness. Now, what is collective unconsciousness. Ito yung konsepto kung saan nagkakaroon tayo ng unconscious image archetypes, no, that are universal to all humans. And it is also why different cultures have similar myths and imagery. Ang collective unconsciousness ay example, may dalawang kultura na hindi nag-meet, hindi sila nagkakilala, pero parehas silang merong same culture. Halimbawa, say for example, Banawe rice terraces. Dito sa Pilipinas, meron tayong Banawe rice terraces na sinasabi na ginawa at around 900 BC, 900 AD. Okay? Roughly 900 AD dito sa Philippines. Pero sa Inca civilization or sa Mesoamerican civilization sa Central America, meron din silang rice terraces. Ngayon, yung paglikha ng rice terraces na yan, saan nanggaling yan? Bakit sila parehong may rice terraces? Hindi naman sila nag-meet. Hindi naman nagkita yung mga tao galing Central America, mga Aztec or Mayan or mga Incan, at hindi naman sila nakipag-usap sa mga Igorot, nagawa tayo ng pareho. Parehong hagdang-hagdang pala yan. Hindi naman ganun eh. Hindi ganun yung nangyari. Kasi naniniwala si Carl Jung na meron tayong unconscious, collective unconscious mind. Ibig sabihin, meron tayong image archetype sa utak natin na naiisip din ng ibang tao. Okay? So say for example, may naiisip kang imagination ngayon. Trust me, according to Carl Jung, may tao din na nag-iisip niyan sa kabilang panig ng mundo. Okay? Okay. So your imaginations are or image archetypes or unconscious thoughts also is expressed to other people. Ngayon, nasa sa'yo na lang yan kung i-actualize mo, gagawin mo libro, o kaya gagawin mo, inventohin mo talaga yung inventions na yan, nasa sa'yo yan. That is Carl Jung. Next is Alfred Adler. No? So run through lang tong ginagawa ko ha. They contributed more than what I'm just mentioning because this is just this is a revolution on psychology. Alfred Adler, a psychologist from Vienna, agreed on the importance of childhood, but he put emphasis on ongoing tensions and not on sexual ones. As most crucial to the formation of the personality, he introduced the inferiority complex, where much of the adult's behavior is linked to the childhood struggles with feeling of inferior. And there were many more psychologists that aims to uncover the puzzle of the human personality. So, next naman is si Alfred Adler, no? Inintroduce niya naman ang inferiority complex and also the superiority complex. Na yung ugali natin ngayon na tayong matatanda are largely influenced by our childhood inferiority complex. Pag na-overcome natin yung inferiority complex, ay nagkakaroon tayo ng certain level of confidence. No? Kaya it's very important for us, no, adults and parents, no, kapag may nakikita tayong bata na nag-e-enjoy sa ginagawa niya, let us support them. Minsan nakikita niyo yung mga anak ninyo may gagawin siya tapos titingin sa'yo. Okay, titingin sa'yo for confirmatory kung gaganon ka ba, gagawin niya. Kung ganon, hindi niya gagawin. Okay. But it's important for us to help the child develop his or her own thoughts, no, her own confidence. So yon. So Freud's psychoanalytic theory revolutionized how people view the human behavior and personality by exploring the mental life and personality. But the psychoanalytical approach is only one perspective on what makes us who we are. Again, walang nagtangkang aralin ang human behavior before. May nagtangkang aralin ang human body, anatomy, may nagtangkang aralin ang evolution, may nagtangkang aralin ang stars, ang universe. Pero wala pang nagtatangkang aralin ang human behavior na kagaya ng ginawa ni Sigmund Freud. Nung sinimulan niya to, ni-revolutionize nito kung paano natin titingnan ng ating mga sarili, ang ating personality. No? In-explore niya yung human behavior. But the psychoanalytical theory and psychosexual theory, hindi lang iyon ang pwede nating pagbasihan. It's just one perspective. Kaya naglabasan ng iba't ibang developmental theories dahil inumpisahan niya. Meron ding mga psychologists na humanistic theories ang approach. So, dito na lumabas ang humanistic theory. Isa dito si Abraham Maslow, pinakilala ang hierarchy of needs na tayo mga tao, meron tayong iba't ibang level of needs kung ano nga ba yung una nating kakailanganin, no? Until we reach the actualization. And then Carl Rogers also with his person-centered perspective where they both believe that both Abraham Maslow and Carl Rogers believe that goodness based on nurturing in a growth, promoting environment that requires three conditions: genuine, acceptance, and empathy. Naniniwala sila na ang paglaki o ang development ng bata ay driven by nurturing. So dapat ang environment, 'di ba nga, it takes a village to raise a child. Dapat ang environment ay nurturing para sa bata. Paano mo masasabi na nurturing ang ang environment para sa bata? It should be genuine, it should be acceptance, and it should have empathy. The humanistic theory in psychology developed the self-concept, where the mixed thoughts and feelings that aims to answer the question, who am I? So after the psychoanalytic theory, dumating ang mga humanistic theory, other developmental theories, and then humanistic theory, until such na dumating sa it aims to answer one question, and that is, who am I or who I am? The psychoanalytical theory, no, and humanistic theories of personality were incredibly influential. And up to date, many psychologists and neurologists attempts to explain the human behavior and personality. This has also brought the development of personality measurements and assessments that is being used today. So dahil sa psychoanalytic at saka sa humanistic theory, no, mahalaga na kilalanin natin ang ating sarili. It played a very big role, no, hanggang sa kasalukuyan kung ano nga ba na paano nga ba natin uunawain ang ating mga sarili. Kaya nga 'di ba before you get employed, nagkakaroon ng mga psychology exam, psychology test. Hindi nito tinatangkang sagutin at tinatangkang alamin kung gaano ka katalino, no? But it's checking you on measuring you on your personality. Because again, I remember my professor once said, Dr. Rabin Arabe, your grades can get you your job, but it will always be your character, your attitude that will make you stay on that job. Okay? Kaya mahalaga na makilala na natin yung overview ng surface ng personality ng tao. Kaya nagkakaroon ng personality measurement and assessment exams. Ang na ginagamit ngayon ng iba't ibang universities, ginagamit ng iba't ibang kumpanya, no? If you notice, may mga paulit-ulit na tanong kapag nag-exam kayo ng ganun. It's normal because it's part of the assessment. Okay? Lastly, the Freudian intellectual revolution challenged and changed the way how we view the human mind and its relationship to our behavior and personality. Our personality is cannot be judged by anyone, no? Our personality is influenced by our environment. It's influenced by a lot of things according to different theories. But one thing's for sure, the intellectual revolution na inumpisahan ni Sigmund Freud, the Freudian intellectual revolution na inumpisahan ni Sigmund Freud, challenge kung paano nga ba natin uunawain ang ating sarili. Minsan, no, kapag inaaral natin, sinusubukan nating intindihin ang ating sarili, mas lalo tayong naguguluhan. But the good thing is we try to understand ourselves because sometimes we do not understand ourselves. Okay? So ayan ang pinakilala ni uh, this pinakilala ni Sigmund Freud. So we already talked about the three people behind the first is the Copernican intellectual revolution, understanding the universe. It changed the way how we view the universe. Darwinian intellectual revolution, it challenged and changed the way how we view life or the evolution or, 'di ba? And then when it comes to Freudian intellectual revolution, binago niya ulit kung paano natin titingnan ang relationship ng ating mind at relationship nito sa ating personality. So these are called intellectual revolutions. Next, pag-uusapan natin ang societal intellectual revolutions. That the society that we have right now are largely influenced by many cultures. Okay, I will be discussing the societal intellectual revolutions, focusing on intellectual revolutions, African, Mesoamerican, Middle East, and this is Asian uh, civilization. Okay, so tapos na tayo no, sa first part ng ating lecture on intellectual revolutions. No? And then the second part will be the societal intellectual revolution. This one is the scientific intellectual revolutions. Okay, so should you have any questions or clarifications about the lecture, please feel free to comment at the comment section, or you may also email me at uh, Jonathan David de la Cruz underscore de la Cruz at tup.edu.ph. Okay, so without further ado, thank you very much. Keep safe and God bless.